So, Irene, will this promote risky sexual behavior by 6th grade girls? With that,
and as long as parents can opt out, I'm in favor of the vaccine. I mean, I think Merck and GlaxoSmithKline, their vaccine has not been approved by the FDA yet, but I mean, they deserve kudos. For the first time in our history, we are able to prevent a lot of types of cervical cancer, but unless parents and their daughters can opt out, I've got a very serious problem with it, because it is a question of individual liberty. What happens, for example, it's a new vaccine. It hasn't been tested very long. What happens, for example, if for whatever reason you decide you don't want your daughter to have the vaccine? It's mandatory for your child to go to school, and 10 years from now we find out that the side effects...
But wait a second, Rick Perry put in a provision saying you're, as a parent, you can opt out.
Well, in Texas, but this issue is going to be decided on a state-by-state basis throughout the nation, and there is a chance that there will be states that don't give you the option to opt out.
The thing about mandatory
to this whole issue of whether or not it's promoting sexual promiscuity, stick with the science, and also stick with the fact that HPV causes diseases in men also, and we need to be figuring out how we get to a point where men can be vaccinated for a disease that causes a lot of cancers in them as well.
All right, here, from vaccinations to Valentine's Day.
And particularly wearing a diaper, across country. I mean,
again, the mental health thing.
Here's
the newsletter.
Wait. Nobody can hear anybody.
Here's what's interesting, though. I go back and forth. I think that there should be, sort of workplace regulations that say, you can't date the interns and that type of thing. But I've seen, particularly in the Washington metropolitan area, people who come out of graduate school and are working, for example, we'll use law firms as an example because there are tons of them here in the Washington metropolitan area. If you are working 14, 15 days, hours a day, a lot of times the only people you socialize with are your co-workers, and I've seen many a lawyer in a law firm end up dating and then marrying their colleagues, and nothing untoward happened.
Well, it's a capture from the humdrum of daily life.
From the perspective of what will protect companies in lawsuits, right? What we really need is strong sexual harassment policies to protect workers from getting abused in the workplace, and then leave romance to romance. If people want to date, let them date. There's no...
You need people to be responsible and act like adults.
Well, it helps in a lot of ways, but most importantly, just to have those role models that you can look at as a young child, whether you're a boy, a girl, African American or not, just to see Congress reflecting the way that our nation looks, and to hear the values that are espoused by black women in particular, I think is very important in our community. I want to say I give props to my fellow Jamaican American. My parents are Jamaican immigrants as well, and listening to her philosophically, I feel like we were probably raised a lot in the same way, and I think that somewhere where we would probably agree as black women or as people in general is that some of the ills, the social ills that black women in this nation faced are never going to be cured by government. And I venture to guess that you will hear more and more black women in Congress espouse those views, whether they are Democrats or Republicans or left of center or right of center. Government is not going to be the end-all and be-all, particularly for what ails our community.
Which is why we should elect her. But to the extent that we do, but to the extent that government...
He votes against you on many policies,
well,
so what are your thoughts?
But here's the thing that's interesting. When you use terms like progressive, it also means liberal, but people get confused when they talk about the African American community, which I would venture to guess on most social issues are more conservative than a lot of people that you consider, the Christian right. If you're talking about reproductive health issues, issues that deal with the church, African Americans, whether they are Republican or Democrats, are going to be a lot more conservative than most people in the nation. So
I have to tell you that I am very proud of the fact that the Democratic Party has created a lot of seats for which there are now lots of African Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans.
We got to go. We're out of time. That's it for this edition of To the Contrary. Next week, newly elected U.S. Senator Claire McCaskill talks about the debate over stem cell research. Please join us on the web for To the Contrary Extra. Whether your views are in agreement or to the contrary, please join us next time.